Something is building in the sky that most people will not see coming, but you will feel it. In the next 10 days, 3 planets will converge in the most volatile sign of the zodiac, and the energy they generate together has not been felt at this intensity in over 2 years. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars are all moving toward Aries, not scattered across different signs, not diluted by water or earth. All 3 concentrated in the single sign that rules fire, war, and the raw courage to begin. By mid-April, these 3 will stand together in the same narrow corridor of the sky, amplifying each other in ways that can either ignite your greatest breakthrough or burn down what you have been carefully protecting. There is no neutral position available during this transit. You are either the one striking the match or the one watching something burn. In this video, you will discover 3 things. First, the exact astronomical timeline of when these 3 planets converge and why the specific dates matter more than anyone is saying. Second, the physical and emotional signals your body is already sending you as this energy builds in the sky. And third, a 7-day protocol designed specifically for this transit that transforms aggressive cosmic energy into directed personal power. If you have been feeling restless without reason, if your patience has been thinner than usual, if something in you wants to move but does not yet know where, stay here. The fire is coming whether you prepare for it or not. Let me show you exactly what is happening in the sky over the next 2 weeks. The Sun entered Aries on March 20th, marking the spring equinox and the beginning of the astrological new year. The Sun will remain in Aries until April 19th, traveling through all 30 degrees of the first sign. Mercury entered Aries on April 3rd, bringing the planet of thought, communication, and decision into the realm of fire. Mercury will stay in Aries until April 18th before moving into Taurus. And Mars, the ruler of Aries, the planet that governs this territory, entered his home sign on April 9th and will remain there until May 23rd. Between April 10th and April 18th, all 3 planets will occupy Aries simultaneously. But the peak of this convergence occurs on April 15th and 16th, when the Sun reaches 26 degrees, Mercury reaches 18 degrees, and Mars reaches 15 degrees of Aries. On these 2 days, the concentration of fire energy in your sky is at maximum density. 3 planets, 1 sign, 0 hesitation. This is not a subtle influence. This is the cosmos handing you a blowtorch and asking what you intend to do with it. Now let me explain why this particular combination matters more than the sum of its parts. When astrologers speak of planetary combinations, they often focus on conjunctions, the moment when 2 planets occupy the exact same degree. But what is happening in Aries this month is something broader, and in some ways more powerful. It is a stellium pattern, multiple planets concentrated in a single sign, each one adding its frequency to the collective vibration. The Sun in Aries amplifies ego, identity, and the drive to be seen as an individual. This is the energy of the pioneer, the one who goes first, the one who does not wait for consensus or approval. Mercury in Aries accelerates thought and speech. Words become sharper, decisions come faster. The filter between thinking and speaking thins to almost nothing. What you think, you say. What you decide, you announce. There is brilliance available here, the flash of insight that cuts through confusion. But there is also danger, the words spoken in heat that cannot be unspoken. And Mars in Aries is Mars at full power. This is the warrior in his own castle, surrounded by his own weapons, answerable to no one. Mars here does not strategize for long. Mars here acts. The impulse and the execution are almost simultaneous. Courage is available that does not exist when Mars travels through other signs. But so is recklessness. The blade does not ask whether you meant to swing it. When you combine these 3, something specific happens in the human experience. The Sun says I am. Mercury says I decide. Mars says I act. In Aries, these 3 statements collapse into a single moment. There is no gap between identity, choice, and movement. You become what you do. You decide by acting. And what you are is revealed by what you are willing to start. This can be extraordinarily liberating if you have been stuck. If there is something you have been circling for months, afraid to begin, this transit is the cosmic permission slip. The energy is available. The fire is lit. All you need to do is step forward. But this can also be extraordinarily destructive if you are not conscious. Because fire does not discriminate. It burns what you want to keep as easily as what you want to release. The aggressive energy available during this window can be directed at obstacles that genuinely need to be overcome, or it can be misdirected at relationships, at stability, at parts of your life that would benefit from patience rather than force. The choice belongs entirely to you. Let me tell you what the ancients knew about Mars and his own sign. In Rome, the month of March was named for Mars. Not because Romans were obsessed with war, though they certainly were skilled at it, but because March was the month when the campaign season began. After the winter pause, after the long months of planning and waiting, March was when the legions finally moved. The gates of the Temple of Mars were opened. They ensured that the gods were aligned with their intentions before a single soldier crossed the boundary line. This was not mere superstition. It was strategy refined over centuries. They understood that Mars energy without direction is just destruction. Mars energy with direction is victory. You are standing at your own march right now. The gates are opening. The fire is available. The question is whether you have done the work to direct it, whether you know what you are marching toward, whether your target is worthy of the force you are about to deploy. The Babylonians tracked Mars with particular intensity across thousands of years of observation. In their system, Mars was Nergal, the god of war and plague, the lord of the underworld, the one who brought both destruction and the strange fertility that follows destruction. They noticed that when Mars was strong in the sky, conflicts on Earth intensified, borders became contested, tempers shortened. But they also noticed something else that most modern readings overlook. When Mars was strong and well aspected, when his energy was channeled through clear intention, great achievements became possible. Cities were founded that would stand for millennia. Empires expanded in ways that reshaped history. Obstacles that had seemed immovable suddenly gave way before concentrated will. The key, they discovered, was not to fear Mars, but to respect him, to understand that this energy demands expression. If you do not give it a conscious outlet, it will find an unconscious one. And unconscious Mars is how accidents happen, how arguments escalate beyond repair, how the very thing you were trying to protect becomes the casualty of undirected aggression. In the Vedic tradition, Mars is called Mangala or Kuja. He is associated with the earth element in its most active form, the energy that pushes seeds through soil in spring, that drives blood through veins with every heartbeat, that fuels the fire of digestion, transforming food into life. The Vedic astrologers understood Mars as necessary, vital, impossible to live without. A chart without Mars influence produces a person without drive, without the capacity to fight for what matters. But they also prescribed specific remedies when Mars was too strong, when his fire threatened to overwhelm the system rather than serve it. Red clothing was avoided during intense Mars transits. Cooling foods were recommended. Mantras to Hanuman, the devoted warrior who channeled his immense strength through service to something larger than himself, were recited daily. The goal was never to suppress Mars. You cannot suppress fire without also extinguishing the light it provides. The goal was to give his fire a container worthy of its heat. This is exactly what you must do over the next 2 weeks. Not suppress your aggression, your ambition, your drive to move, but find a container for it. Give it a target. Direct the blowtorch at something that deserves to be transformed rather than letting it spray wildly in all directions. Now let me tell you what this has been doing to your body. Because the body responds to Mars before the mind catches up. Mars rules the blood, the muscles, the adrenal system, everything in you that prepares for fight or flight. When Mars enters his own sign and is joined by the Sun and Mercury, the body begins to prepare for action, whether the conscious mind has decided on action or not. You may have noticed increased heat in your body over the past week. Not fever, not illness, just warmth that seems to come from nowhere. Your skin may feel flushed more easily. Your face may redden with less provocation. This is Mars entering his home and turning up the thermostat in your physical system. Your sleep may have shifted. Not insomnia exactly, but a different quality of rest. You may be waking earlier, around 4 or 5 in the morning, with a strange alertness that has no clear cause. Not tired, not anxious, just awake. Your body is preparing for dawn, for action, for the beginning of something it can sense even if your mind cannot name it. This early waking is Mars whispering that the day wants to be seized, not waited for. Your patience may have thinned noticeably. Things that did not bother you a month ago may now feel intolerable. Small delays, minor inconveniences, the slowness of other people, bureaucratic obstacles. You may have caught yourself snapping at people who did nothing wrong, sighing heavily at circumstances that used to seem minor, feeling an unfamiliar edge in your responses that surprises even you.
This is Mars energy accumulating faster than you are expressing it. The fire is building because it has not yet found its target. And energy that has no outlet does not simply dissipate. It turns inward as frustration or outward as conflict. There is another signal that deserves attention. Your hands. Mars rules the hands, the instruments of action, the body parts that translate intention into impact. Have you noticed your hands feeling restless, wanting to grip something, build something, strike something?
Have you caught yourself clenching your fists without reason, drumming your fingers with impatience, reaching for objects just to have something to hold? This is Mars in the extremities, waiting for direction. Your hands know that action is coming. They are preparing themselves. And your voice, Mercury in Aries, affects the throat, the speech, the sharpness of communication. You may have noticed yourself speaking faster, interrupting more, finishing other people's sentences before they are done. Or you may have noticed the opposite, a strange silence, as if the words are moving too fast to catch. Both are Mercury and fire, either releasing through rapid speech or building pressure through suppressed expression. Now let me show you where this triple fire lands in your chart. Because the house that contains Aries determines which area of your life is about to receive this concentrated energy. If you are Aries or Aries rising, this stellium lands in your first house, the house of self. Your identity is on fire. How you present yourself, how others perceive you, who you are becoming is all being accelerated. This is perhaps the most intense position, because there is nowhere to hide. You are the fire. What you start about yourself during this window will define you for the coming year. If you are Pisces or Pisces rising, this lands in your second house of money and worth. Your earning power, your possessions, your sense of what you deserve is being activated aggressively. This is the time to ask for more, to pursue income with force, to value yourself at a higher rate. But be careful not to spend impulsively what you are working to build. If you are Aquarius or Aquarius rising, this hits your third house of communication and local environment. Your words become weapons, for better or worse. Speaking, writing, negotiating, debating, all of these are supercharged. Choose your words with unusual care, because they will land with unusual impact. If you are Capricorn or Capricorn rising, this activates your fourth house of home and foundation. Domestic energy is high, which can mean renovation, confrontation with family, or a deep drive to establish roots. What happens behind closed doors during these 2 weeks will reshape your sense of inner security. If you are Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, this lands in your fifth house of creativity, romance and joy. Your creative output accelerates. Romantic pursuits become more aggressive. The things you do for pleasure demand more passion. If you have been holding back artistic expression, this transit provides the courage to create boldly. If you are Scorpio or Scorpio rising, this hits your sixth house of daily work and health. Your job demands more energy. Your body demands more attention. Exercise becomes more important and more satisfying during this window. Work conflicts may arise, but so may the drive to improve your routines dramatically. If you are Libra or Libra rising, this activates your seventh house of partnership. Relationships become the arena where fire expresses. Existing partnerships may face confrontation or renewed passion. New relationships may begin with unusual intensity. If you are Virgo or Virgo rising, this lands in your eighth house of shared resources and transformation. Deep psychological material may surface aggressively. Joint finances may demand attention. This is where old versions of self are burned away. If you are Leo or Leo rising, this hits your ninth house of expansion and belief. Your worldview is on fire. Travel may call urgently. Philosophical debates may become heated. If you are Cancer or Cancer rising, this activates your 10th house of career. Professional life receives concentrated fire. Ambition spikes. If you are Gemini or Gemini rising, this lands in your 11th house of community. Friend groups may experience friction or sudden growth. If you are Taurus or Taurus rising, this activates your 12th house. The fire burns behind the scenes. Dreams become vivid. Inner work calls. Here is your protocol for the next 7 days. Day 1 is the day of target. Before the fire is lit, you must know where to point it. Sit with a single piece of paper and write down one thing, only one, that you want to start, confront, or end during this transit. Be specific, not a vague wish, a concrete target. Write it down, fold the paper, place it where you will see it daily. This is your target. Day 2 is the day of clearing. Fire needs oxygen to burn. Clear space in your schedule. Cancel what can be canceled. Create room for the energy coming. Day 3 is the day of the body. Move physically. Hard. Run. Lift. Swim. Climb. Let the body express what the mind is processing. Mars energy in the head becomes irritability. Mars energy through the body becomes vitality. Day 4 is the day of voice. Speak your target out loud to one person. Someone who can witness without fixing. Speaking transforms internal pressure into external commitment. Day 5 is the day of the blade. Sharpen your tools. What skill or preparation does your target require? Research, practice, prepare. Day 6 is the day of stillness. Before the peak on April 15th, take one day of minimal action. Let the fire build with awareness. Day 7 is the strike. Take one concrete action toward your target. Send the message, make the call, begin. While this stellium forms, Venus sits in Taurus, offering grounding counterweight. When aggression becomes too much, Venus is your anchor. Fire without Earth becomes destruction. Fire with Earth becomes transformation. Jupiter at 15 degrees of Cancer adds expansion to whatever you initiate. What you start grows. Saturn and Neptune remain conjunct at 0 Aries, and all 3 planets will cross that point, receiving its strange blessing. The fire you wield connects to something larger than yourself. There is something else happening during this window that most readings will not mention. All planets are currently moving direct. No retrograde anywhere in the solar system. This condition, which astrologers call an all-planets direct window, lasts only until May 6th when Pluto stations retrograde. That means the fire you wield during this Aries stellium is not being pulled backward by any force. There is no drag, no reversal, no second-guessing energy anywhere in the sky. The current runs in one direction only, and it runs fast. What you start during this transit has the full momentum of the solar system behind it. There is no better time in 2026 to initiate something that requires courage, force, and forward motion. But I want to leave you with this final understanding. Fire is the only element that cannot exist without consuming something. Water can sit in stillness for centuries. Earth can wait with infinite patience. Air can hover without touching anything. But fire must eat or die. The moment fire stops consuming, it ceases to exist. The energy entering your sky over the next 2 weeks will consume something in your life. This is not a threat. This is physics. This is the nature of the element you are working with. The question is not whether something will burn. The question is what? You can choose. You can direct the flame at obstacles that genuinely need to be cleared, at stagnation that has held you too long, at fears that have overstayed their welcome, at the version of yourself that no longer fits the life you are building. Or you can let the fire choose for you and watch it find the driest, most vulnerable thing in your world and turn it to ash while you stand there wondering how it happened. The ancient firekeepers understood something that modern life has forgotten. Fire is not an enemy to be suppressed. Fire is an ally to be directed. It cooks your food and warms your home when contained. It destroys everything you love when it escapes its boundaries. You are the firekeeper now. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars are handing you more heat than you have held in years. What you do with it will define the rest of your spring, and perhaps far beyond. The gates of your own temple are opening. The sacred shields are being carried into the street. The army is ready to march. The only question remaining is whether you will lead it or watch from the walls as others claim what could have been yours. If something in you recognized the call in these words, write it in the comments. Not the polished version. The raw one. The thing you know you need to start, confront, or end, that you have been avoiding because the heat required felt like too much. Your naming of it becomes a commitment. Your words become witnesses, and the next person who scrolls past and reads what you wrote may find in your courage the permission for their own. If someone came to mind while you listened, someone who needs to hear that the fire is coming, whether they prepare or not, send them this video. It may be the torch they did not know they were waiting for. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this stellium is only the beginning. What I will share about the days following April 18th will reveal why everything you initiate now was preparation for something larger still. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.